The broadcast and media sector is likely to be one of the earliest 5G use cases. Nick, you're the CEO of one of the leading telecoms associations, and Mike, you're the CEO of one of the leading broadcast associations. What are the two of you doing together? How are the two of you collaborating?
Well, we've decided to bring together what we think are two of the world's leading authorities in terms of innovation and thinking and the very latest cutting edge technologies, and see what we can do when we bring those two worlds together. For a long time we've seen the convergence of the media space and the telecom space. I think 5G starts to open up some really exciting opportunities. It's not just about 5G, it's also about bringing the expertise, the genius, if you like, of both two different worlds, and seeing through the Catalyst programs we're going to be working on together, what happens when we put them together and what kind of innovations we can deliver for those industries working together.
And Mike, what's your motivation for IBC getting closely associated with TM Forum's activities?
Well, very similar. Obviously, we see an opportunity to work with a very well-respected organisation. From our point of view, we're looking at how our industry has changed. It used to be purely about broadcast, but now it's much more about content production of all different kinds. And as that's happened, we've benefited from the convergence of technologies and skills, but over a period of time, the application of those technologies is diverging into different vertical markets, and so the TM Forum are in a really special place in having links across those things. So we feel it's almost like a T, with them doing the horizontal part and us being in the center with that vertical part of video. And we see an opportunity to work together both in catalysts within our market, but then taking those skills and expertise, not just the technology, but the real talents involved in creativity, in differentiating content, in new kinds of content that's been enabled by technology.
And Nick, can you explain the concept of Catalyst and what you hope to achieve? What does a Catalyst set out to do, and then where does it lead to?
So we typically take a groundbreaking challenge for the industry. It's often a challenge that multiple companies are facing. So you have a set of champion companies, often that's telecom operators in our classic model. In the ones we're looking at now working with IBC, those will be a combination of the broadcasters and the telcos saying, we've got a real challenge here. We see a business opportunity, we see an opportunity for growth. How do we make that real? And it unpacks that into how will the business model work? How will you then stand up the technology to do that? And in 3 to 4 months, with a combination of the right expertise across multiple companies, you can bring together a proof of concept to show how that can be done. And as that comes together, we can start to see opportunities for those companies to collaborate and take that into a commercial venture beyond that as well.
And Mike, for your broadcast members, what's their motivation? Is it a business case motivation? What's changing? What is driving the focus, the increased focus on telecoms?
Yeah, I think it just used to be the one-to-many broadcast model. Now there are different models. There's the one-to-one model, and there's the LTE and other things that are around, and they see opportunities in that. But broadcast is quite a traditional marketplace, and so that cross-fertilization with other markets where they can help is not something that's come naturally to them. So we're just trying to encourage that.
Yeah. Because we've had interest in LTE for a number of years, and pilots and experimentation to see what's possible, but it hasn't really taken off on a wide scale, has it yet?
It doesn't seem to be that there's a really clear business model for that by itself yet, but as, say, you've got LTE-M or that kind of thing, video will be a significant and important part of Internet of Things, so that's an opportunity.
I think that's really one of the opportunities we want to uncover by working on Catalyst together, is to say there's so much technology. In fact, you could say all the technology to do whatever we can dream up exists, but it only really comes into being, you only see it in the right products and the right services in the right industries if you can show how it makes money. And so the beauty of the Catalyst model in bringing particularly these two different industries together is to say, what's the broadcast industry thinking about? What are the opportunities there? Telecom market's got a lot of challenges with how it engages and provides more unique services to its customers. We've all got the challenge that all of our collective customers haven't got enough time. How can we make it easier for them to consume content in lots of different ways? How can we make that a seamless, pain-free experience? How can we make new interactive experiences? And the new technologies really make that possible. What tends to be the barrier is there's no shortage of ideas, but are the right people working together to make them a reality?
That content is a really big differentiator, and that's an important thing. Those skills we can bring into those markets. We've seen Lots of telcos come into our market and buy companies. There's good business models, but I think they also want to learn those skills. So I think that will be an important part of it.
Yeah, it's no longer just about who's got the latest 5G, 4G network or the best coverage, because at some point that becomes a ubiquitous thing. Content is one of those things that is truly a differentiator, whether that's content coming from a partner like a Netflix or a traditional broadcaster. Maybe it's in the future content also coming that's collaborated between the two industries.
And how much of it do you think also is the fact that the telecoms operators have a distributed network? You know, they've got we talk about the edge a lot now, and 5G at the edge of the network and the possibilities there. That opens up, I'd imagine, a lot of new models.
It should open up, if we do it the right way, almost an explosion of innovation at the edge. So I think if we can, hopefully through the partnership and work that we're going to create between these different companies working together, actually strive to say, okay, rather than it being all about how the broadcast industry or the telecom industry tries to say, we will create and control that as perhaps we have in the past. Look at what app stores have done for the likes of the iPhone and Apple, saying, we'll create a platform, we'll put certain guide rails and rules around that, but then we'll let the innovation happen. Think about that in the home with VR or AR content, lots of different types of content coming into the home. It really can open up and change the way that works.
Listening to some of the ideas that are coming up already between our two teams, the core of them seems to be about monetizing content. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, sure. And a final question, this is 5G world. Big focus on 5G, obviously. As 5G develops, as the technology and the standards develop, we start looking more at industry sectors. The telecoms industries and the vendors are already looking at verticals, and as we said earlier, broadcast and media is a big one. But what about the broadcasters themselves? Do they recognize what 5G might be? Are they starting to talk about 5G in particular and see 5G as a small c catalyst to grow?
Well, broadcasters are innovators, very creative people. So already if you look at what's coming up in the World Cup, what's happening in the Olympic Games, people are using 5G cameras on bobsleighs. It's innovation. It gets really good high quality content back quickly, and they're using it. On the flip side of that, a 5G network, especially because the very low latency, it allows people to have immersive content, different kinds of things. We're not fixed to a spot. So creative people, they just see the opportunity in that straight away.
For the telecoms industry, we're all sitting here this week thinking, we've got 5G. The big question for the TM Forum has been, I have no doubt this industry can deliver another generation of mobile technology. The question is, how do you pay for it? And the way you pay for it is by unlocking that innovation. And when we think about content, it can be broadcast content in all kinds of different media. So it's not just into the home or into the cinema. Think about the number of shows now that get live streamed from one location to another. Think about how you can make that in combination with mobile a really much more immersive experience. But you've got to create the technology and platform. So when you say, how much does 5G matter to the broadcast industry? I want to flip that question around and say, what can 5G offer the broadcast industry that really opens up a more immersive experience, more ways of monetizing that content in different ways?
Great. Well, Mike and Nick, thank you both very much for joining us on TelecomTV.